pigeonholed into this Zarya, this Brigitte for a very long time, and they're so angsty to get off it. They don't practice it in ranked. They just play Widowmaker in ranked, and looks like Legacy are going for this 3-3 dive composition, or 3-2-1 dive composition with the mobile tanks of Andre on Winston, Rani on Wrecking Ball, and Nush on D.Va. This is curious to say the least. It can go well versus Bunker. We've shown they've played it against Bunker before. It had relative success, but if Rani's Wrecking Ball beats Sierra, it's going to feed over a lot of ult charge.
Pretty hefty dive from Legacy when they do eventually execute that, but run into Nami, flashbang, Mini with the hold, Duboy with a hook, so there's a lot of grab control for Zero, which is something the Legacy will need to be aware of. Looks like the majority of that grab control has connected to the Legacy players. They'll execute their dive well enough to force Ground Zero away from the point. Now that's in control of Legacy. Gus ends up catching Fundray. It was a hook from Roadhog that has done the dirty work though for Ground Zero. Now in a player advantage, they'll start to push their way forward onto the point, recontest.
It's a very fast beat drop build from Gunther actually. Everyone's stacked up and the AoE damage coming from Winston and the Wrecking Ball. Really takes it quick, but he's gone into the hole. Stolen Picnic's got the knockoff, but straight into the bin he goes.
Yeah. Stolen being able to get that one a little bit too quick for Mini, not able to get the Fortify up in time. Nami now has got Deadeye for an opportunity to use it though. This is one of the more difficult points to use it on. Well, it's going to get cancelled by the hack anyway from Ike, who does go down to a one-shot. Coming through from Fundray with the final range. Nami surely fall. Where is the rest of this to come from for Legacy? They'll just get out okay. The point is still in their control. This is a very prolonged fight. Ground Zero is still continuing to try and make this one happen, but at best they're getting 1-for-1 trades, and at worst now this is a 2-for-1. So Legacy are actually beating Ground Zero right now, quite comfortably.
They're doing a fantastic job of rotating the point between their big tanks. Even when one gets picked off, the other two are kind of there to rotate the point, making it very difficult for Ground Zero to push forward and cap. And Mini swapped over to the Winston now to try and negate that, try and get some clearance out, as that Orisa was just not locking anything down. Duboy now swaps over to the Brigitte as well, so they have the lockdown to deal with these tanks, but do they have the damage? No Discord from the Zenyatta. It's going to be hard to get burned through them, as they just don't have any sort of damage output.
Yeah, so much AoE healing as well with Moira and Lucio for Legacy. Looks for a nano boost. He'll throw one out onto Mini, but the effectiveness here from Mini, perhaps not a whole lot, and that's a really nice bomb. It's going to totally push Ground Zero out of position. Gets Gus in the end. There's so much to follow up with that as well. Coalescence from Lab, and the rest of Ground Zero starts to fade away as Legacy certainly taking round one here on Helios. Well, comfortable for the Lab. It's up 1v1ing Mini. That'll be the end of that.
What a comfortable round for Legacy. I barely think any of their players fell in the end of the day there. And no cap percentage for Ground Zero. That's not something we were expecting. It looked like they didn't know what composition to play versus these three beefy dive tanks. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board and switch it up a little bit. Maybe they play the Zenyatta, the Dalsu, just to amplify that damage and burn through those tanks far faster.
Well, remember, Ground Zero really want to 4-0 today, because that means they're going to overtake Warriors. And in that world, they may actually end up taking third seed. So
It certainly could.
If they drop here on Ilios, instantly that's no longer a factor. And then it's a case of, okay, well, we're probably sitting in fourth. We're definitely sitting in fourth. Because it's basically impossible that Order is going to lose enough maps against Melbourne Mavericks that they're going to go dropping below Ground Zero's map.
Well, you'd think so, but Order have known to throw a curveball in. As we see the same comp coming out from the side of Legacy. Will this Reinhardt composition do better at dealing with it? I think it could do. The cleave from Reinhardt when these three tanks dive in, it does a deceptive amount of damage, 75 per hit.
Yeah, difficulties could be though, like, how do you catch those guys as Reinhardt?
Well, you're kind of relying on them to diving into you, and they have to dive into the point eventually as Rani goes in and he gets hacked straight away, antied, he's going to go down.
Is he though? Yes he does, eventually falls to Duboy. Point is most certainly going in the favour of Ground Zero this time, and Nanu, Bionade getting thrown on in by Lab, doesn't really seem to affect a whole lot. Eventually the cap is secured by Ground Zero. Very quickly, Legacy fades away. What if they change things up here?
So I think they'll back themselves on this composition. Rani's actually swapped over to the Brigitte, so they have swapped things up straight away, just as I say they're going to back themselves. Fundre resets his ult too, so it's a similar composition. The mirror's coming out, but Nami's already 80% on his EMP. He played well last week with this Sombra, so I'm expecting big things out of him today.
Yeah, that's a pretty disastrous swap really for... That's a nice catch, but they can't actually finish Nami off. And it actually puts Nami up to 95%. So, yeah, I mean, the swap here, Fundre 7%, Noosh 6%. Still not really charging that beat up too quickly. So, big advantage for Ground Zero after forcing that swap on out. Let's see what EMP can do here. From Nami, is looking for. It does manage to get 5 of the Legacy players in that one. And there's not really much to write home about here for Legacy. In fact, probably can't even write home about it because your EMP abilities, I suppose.
Pen and paper still works, mate. That's why they went to the moon. Well, they used pencils up there. But that was
the more you know.
The good EMP from Nami there. He jumped just high enough so he hit the players on the high ground. The players on the high ground were looking to avoid that EMP and really split so the EMP only hits those 2 players on the ground, Rani and Fundre, but Nami was clued into it and managed to catch them just as they were peeking. Now, what can Ike do with his? There is good positioning from the side of Ground Zero. It could be difficult to get some value.
Oh, Ike's been spotted there. It does end up getting the EMP across. It was a bit of a risky one because Duboy was relatively close by. No kills to come from it as the sound barrier went down from Gunther. And now it's a Graviton Surge out from Gus. Legacy melting inside of that.
This is going to be another clean fight, and 82% on the board. This is getting disastrous for Legacy. They're going to have to speed someone into touch as Stolen's only 74% on his sound barrier, and I believe that's his first one too. So Legacy haven't been taking those long brawl fights at all.
No, they're just
kind of just been getting ult cycled. Yeah, this is a good answer from Ground Zero after that disastrous first round, but now Duboy with the rally is going to sustain the boys on the point as Legacy come in.
They got a touch. They do just on time. A nice Bionade connects onto Rani. That is going to be an easy kill for Ground Zero. Subsequently might be an easy round for Ground Zero. Good response to what we saw there on Well. Nami going to pop the EMP out. It's more of a celebration EMP than anything else because that didn't even connect onto any Legacy players, but not that it matters. Ground Zero have won 100% to 0, and we're right back where we expected to be, with Ground Zero having a strong performance against Legacy. On a piece now though, not hanging in the balance.
Certainly is in the balance. Will Nami pick the Widowmaker on Ruins? I believe he did versus the Warriors, and that caught them off guard earlier on in the season. Looks like he's staying on his Sombra. He's played well in the Sombra last 2 weeks. I've been impressed by it. He's a player that hasn't had the deepest hero pool. He was kind of called a Widow one-trick when he entered the scene. He's kind of diverted now off the Widowmaker so much, more onto these meta heroes. So we see Legacy going back to their tried and true 3-3. This is what they made Contenders on and made their names on. So can they counter the Sombra Goats out of Ground Zero and take that map win and really start on the right foot, because they need to start on the right foot to take Atletico down.
I guess they need to start on the right foot as well to win this series, keep themselves in playoffs, more importantly avoiding trials. That's really I think what they're looking for here. It's going to be seasons where Legacy tries to do that, but been able to make it work so far. Maybe this is the season if they get a win over Ground Zero today. Relatively low, but will we heal back on up? Fundre is the same. Dancing around, trying to find a boop to put someone out of position, but just has to be careful. Getting relatively low. Ground Zero now control the points. He's going to take the opportunity to push forward with Reinhardt, but he's going to be met equally with an unstoppable force. That is Fundre, both charging their ults up very quickly, but Mini has his first. He's at 100% now, and gets picked off straight away. EMP out from Nami, doesn't turn things around. It looks like it might. Gunther and Nami finding the kills after EMP comes across Legacy. Well, it was good for a moment, but just didn't have that trans up in time.
Oh, Nush is off the point too. He's going to get staggered for a long time here. That was really well played from Mini. He didn't Earth Shatter in his death throws, which is what we've seen a lot of Reinhardts doing this season. They're getting panicky when they're about to die and just throwing the Shatter down and wasting it. So he managed to keep it, which is good. Nami built that fast EMP, and I was thinking that he was going to be able to combo with Mini there to get the Earth Shatter off, but it turns out they didn't even need the Shatter. Now going into the next fight with Nush swapping over to the Mei. No Diva in play for Legacy Esports anymore, so this grab is going to be pretty free for Gus.
Talk about the Graviton Surge. He's thrown out. Nush actually gets the wall up. That's pretty interesting. Stolen's picnic is glowing purple. He does manage to get his sound barrier down before he dies, and now it's just an absolute crazy fest of ultimates coming out from both sides. A good charge from Mini will drop Rani, but Legacy have rotated to the point first. They're capping it. The Ground Zero is going to have to contest straight into an Ike with the Graviton Surge, if it's even necessary at this point. barrier goes down. Now that opens the door for Graviton Surge out from Ike. Nothing to counter that for Ground Zero, and it surely will be the point over by Legacy.
Those fights that spread out a little bit. With Ike on high energy there, he was able to take advantage of being able to fight this long fight. The Zarya does so much damage, and there was no way Ground Zero could sustain through that. Now Ground Zero have been reset. They have no support ultimates. They only have the EMP going into this next fight, but they really need something to combo it with. Lab has the Transcendence. If Nush doesn't get caught, he can drop a wall in front of Mini and really relegate him to be on the bench almost with no damage. Nami's looking for it, but gets to translocate back. That resets the fight for a little bit longer. How are they going to approach this?
I feel like the Lexus are playing around with their compositions. Be making for an interesting series. Nami is looking for an EMP right behind Noosh at the moment. Oh, Noosh dodged it. He's going to get the Blizzard out. That was such a great Blizzard. And it might actually win the fight for Legacy if they can capitalize on top of it. It's at least saved the fight for Legacy because it was a good EMP from Nami. Now Earthshatter is available for Fundraise. Let's see if he can get a good one down. Blocked by Mini in the end. And we'll wait for the same out from Mini. Fundraise ready and waiting, looking to block it, but his shield is low. And Fundraise on the floor now, but it's a 1-for-1. Maybe not even. Eventually, Mini does get Fundraise. But still, that is a 1-for-1. Best case scenario for Ground Zero. But they do have their main tank alive in this fight, and that means a lot.
Graviton Surge is coming up. Ike, can he get it off now?
Battle that we're going to get to see here. The Graviton Surge from Ike, as you mentioned. We're looking for it, waiting for it. Good that with his sound barrier also will be eagerly anticipating this grab. Noosh almost has the Blizzard. I think that's what Ike was waiting for. We're going to see the combo out. And that is going to be far too much, surely, for Ground Zero to tank through, even with the sound barrier available to them. Ike's done the damage. And Noosh has done the crowd controlling.
That was great patience. Great patience from Ike there. Just hold the Graviton Surge just long enough for his fellas to get back in the fight. He had the Reinhardt running back, he had the Brig running back, and Nush is managing to stall this point out and make a nuisance of himself just because Ground Zero can't get that next kill in the fight. They get the first kill or they get a good opening in the fight, but they can't capitalize on it and get that kill just because Nush is playing around with them so much.
Well, this could be the hopes of a third place slipping away for Ground Zero if they lose here, which is looking like they may well do. Needing a fight win, it's Graviton Surge through from Gas, but Lab of course has Transcendence to keep everyone topped up on Legacy. Now we wait to see what the counter-attack is going to be, if there even is going to be one. You can't counter-attack when there's a 6-man EMP from Nami. Someone, however, has collected Dalsu. Maybe that's a saving grace for Legacy. Doesn't seem to be, however. And the big problem for Legacy now is that they've given the cap over to Ground Zero. They can't afford to be getting wiped here. Had they not let that slip, they might have been able to recontest, reset themselves, but they have to get on the point now. And I don't know that they will. They can't. And Legacy, they've thrown it away. They had such a good opportunity there if they would have just stayed on the point, even if they lose that fight. They come back with all the ultimates and recontest with the 15 seconds that they had available. But no, they let it slip.
So close yet so far. The story of Legacy this season, just failing at the last hurdle. It was so close, and they looked like they were playing around each other well, and communicating well, and getting back and rotating the point on both Well and on Ruins. But they didn't get on the point. They let Ground Zero cap and gave them about 15, 16, 3% at the end there, and that really is what cost them, because that fight just staggered out until it was 93% and they couldn't get it again.
Yeah, it's fine to have a stagger fight there, but not when your opponent is in control of the point and they're going to be the one catching up to 99. So, just a little unfortunate for Legacy. I mean, I really liked how they played out on Ruins there. It was just, that last fight. Slipped away from them a little bit, which if it's going to be a recurring theme in this series, it's going to be a massive problem for Legacy because, again, they do need the win over Ground Zero, which is not an easy task to begin with, but when you've got an opportunity like that presented in front of you, you need to be taking control of this.
Yeah, that's the difference between the great teams, you know, the top 3, top 4 teams here we have, and the teams that are vying for that trials, relegation, trying to get out of it. The ability to close out these games and close out these maps. It's unfortunate Legacy didn't do it this time, but maybe they learned from their mistakes. Come through stronger next time. It was good to see that they had a composition that Ground Zero didn't really deal with very well. They had the 3 tank composition with the dive tanks. I was surprised on Well how poorly Ground Zero dealt with that. They managed to bounce back onto Lighthouse and handle it quite well.
Well, it's good news for Ground Zero, that's for sure. It was looking like it could be a map loss, which would have meant that they couldn't actually take 3rd place. Still can now, but it's going to be one foot in front of the other. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves here for Ground Zero because they do still need that 4-0. Legacy will be disappointed with that, but it's not like they haven't shown that they can't contest here. You know, this is a close series, which is really what Legacy is going to be hoping for. Even if they can push it through to a 3-2, that's going to be enough.
Yeah, that's it. All they need is a series win, and Control has historically been their weakest map type by far. So
That's
if
true.
they're putting up a good fight on Control, then what can they put on the other maps?
Very good question. They haven't actually won on any Control map bar Busan so far this season, which is, I think, what they ended up winning against Atletico last week, which is, you know, again, like, not so much of a thing to really get too excited about. So, okay, that's a fair point. I like that you bring that one up, because I wasn't really thinking about the map in the context of Legacy having a horrible run on Control this season so far. But that kind of makes me feel a little bit, maybe a little bit more comfortable even for Legacy. Yeah, you would have liked to have seen them won that, but we go on to the next couple of maps, particularly when we look at things like Rialto. That's where they've been really strong on those escort maps. Numbani, Paris. I don't know about Paris so much here for Legacy, but I think Numbani might be okay. We'll see, we'll see.
At the start of the season, Legacy showed a strong bunker comp. So maybe on Paris, if they run that bunker comp, they can do well on it. Nush has played a good Roadhog all season long, so he's probably the star player today, I reckon. He had that beautiful EMP dodge on the Mei. That was very fancy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Mini survived way too long. Needed to finish him off way quicker. Paris, I feel quietly confident in Legacy, actually. If they can pull out that bunker composition and shut down the Dewboy, Nami, Widow, Farah that might come out to counter it, I think they could have we could go be 1-1 in half time.
Oh, we shall see. So far, a win and a loss this season for Legacy on Paris. The same for Ground Zero.
I'd take a 50-50 if I was Legacy. I'd flip the coin.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely the underdogs in this series, and if they're able to flip a coin to decide it, I think they'd take that.
That's true. Well, what do we get to see from Legacy out here? I suppose they'll start on defense. They'll have the option. Ground Zero.
I'd like to see them stray away from the Bastion bunker comp, though. We've seen a few teams struggle. If the Bastion goes down without the Mercy, the player swaps to a hero that is suboptimal just to get back faster, and that kind of breaks the whole formation of the composition, and that leads to the point being captured, or even, you know, the win happening for the other team. But I don't know. They have the Tourbillon player in Ike, the Roadhog player in Nush. I think they should stay away from this Bastion if they're got their wits about them today.
Let's wait and see. Let's not make any outlandish predictions, Smash.
Oh, I'm feeling the bunker. And here it is. God, I'm smart.
You can't really pat yourself on the back like that, otherwise you sound obnoxious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you've met me.
Everyone's in chat saying this caster on the right is getting on my nerves. They're talking about you, mate.
Oh,
know that?
Oh, that's not very nice. But what we will see out of Ground Zero is Nami Sombra, which is the bunker buster hero. It's very good into bunker. Dalsu's Ana has been fantastic all season at following up on these EMPs with nades. So Ground Zero have a good way of dealing with it if they identify it quickly and make the appropriate swaps.
Mini's on Widow. What's new? Don't know that you're going to be getting too much out of the spawn room on Widow.
Maybe he has an angle. He has a grapple angle? No, he's looking for it though.
Yeah. No Farah.
He's looking too long.
Alright, Mini.
Give it a rest, mate. He'll swap himself over to the Orisa. And Gus will be swapping over to the Roadhog. So it will be kind of a bunker versus bunker setup. Obviously the damage favours Legacy quite heavily, having the Tourbillon over the Sombra. But I think Ground Zero looking for that Halt Hook combination and looking to disrupt the Halt Hook combination with the Mei of their own. They might be looking to just get back. Okay, so they're blocking off and taking the rotation. This is a good, nice wall.
You gotta say it like mate.
I think I will be, actually.
Oh, that's a nice hook, actually. A Halt, I would say, actually goes through the shield. Not really going to be too big of a deal for Legacy at all, but managed to catch Dalsu.
Now that is a good hook.
That is indeed just finding Fundrain. That's just the first of many, it seems, for Ground Zero to find, but knowing that they have the numbers
Stone's going for the res. He goes down before it goes off, though.
God, what is going on there? Did Rani break the wall, or did it just get broken open?
It must have just got broken open. Surely he wouldn't break the wall like that. He wouldn't dog his boy like that.
I don't know. Either way, bad comms or just a bit of bad luck as it gets broken through by Ground Zero. Stolen down the fight then as well, and definitely the numbers advantage here is going to be a little bit too much for Legacy to deal with. Ground Zero just swarming the point like ants.
And Ground Zero have the dangerous ultimate combo to go through onto the next point. They have the EMP and they have the double damage boost onto the Roadhog if they want to use that as their ultimate. The Roadhog does a lot of damage with his ultimate. He can shred through that shield from Fundrain and really take him out quickly. So this could be a big snowball from Ground Zero. Lab swaps over to the Baptiste, which is a decent hero dealing with the EMP if you can time your immortality field correctly.
Many a time we've seen that point A capped very quickly, and then point B becomes a bit more of a problem. Ground Zero certainly have the opportunity here, though, to knock it over quickly. If Nami builds the EMP into Dewboy with Blizzard, I mean, Gust has got his ult, Mini's got the ult, everything's here for Ground Zero. It's all that they need, but Mini's standing in the Dragon Strike, and Ike just smashes him in the face with the Storm Arrows. Can the rest of Ground Zero turn this around without their main tank? The answer seems to be yes. A lot of kills coming across, and they've already capped out 2 ticks. Maybe they won't end up capping the whole thing as they've lost a few players here, but 2 ticks out of that, you've got to be happy.
Yeah, 2 ticks, I mean, I guess you can be happy with 2 ticks, but at the same time, Nami held his EMP for that entire fight. He chose not to use it or commit it at all. He was kind of waiting for them to drop down onto the point to contest, but Legacy didn't fall for the bait. They only sent 1 or 2 players down. It's 1 or 2 players they could afford to get EMP'd if they did choose to pull the trigger on it. So they kind of got baited into holding that EMP there, Ground Zero, and now they're a halfway comp. Mini does swap over to the Ryan, so this will kind of move it back towards that Sombra Goats, which Legacy will be a little bit weak to. They do have the Supercharger though, and Supercharger Storm Arrows can take out these players like Dalsu's Ana or Gunther's Lucio very quickly. Or Mini's Winston even, he goes down very quickly to those damage boosted Storm Arrows. Lab also closing in on this amplification matrix, which is very good for the Dragon Strike, for the Ike's Dragon Strike. It does so much damage, so Gus has got a big task here of eating all these projectiles that would be damage boosting.
Dragon Strike was pretty impactful in the last fight, I thought, from Ike. Eye on that again, see whether or not he's going to have the same impact. Can he split the players apart?
He got hacked while he was casting it,
oh,
and
no!
They didn't get on the point!
I don't believe that.
He got hacked in the casting animation of Dragon Strike, so it didn't go off, and...
I mean, that wouldn't have helped anyway, even if Dragon Strike goes off.
The failure to communicate on Legacy is so apparent right now. They need to get it back to the basics and just focus on their comm structure, make sure they know what each other's doing, because that is a really rough way to lose a round.
It's the second time as well. Like, okay, maybe the one on Ilios is excusable, right? Where you're kind of having a bit of a chaotic fight, someone doesn't remember to get on the touch and it gets flipped over. In this instance, they just walk off the cap. They've had the information for ages that they've only got the 1 tick to play with, so someone always needs to be prepared.
Yeah, usually you designate your Diva player to do that. I believe Nush was on the Mei, so maybe he should have just taken one for the team and got on for the fellas, but they were also so wary of that EMP. They didn't want to get caught. You saw they had players all rotated around the point to try and avoid that. But eventually someone's got to take the EMP. Someone's got to get hit by it. They can't just give it all up. Oh, well. Now they've got their work cut out for them on this attack. They will need to beat the time of 4 minutes 32 in the bank for Ground Zero. That's a long time on this map, and we've seen it capped out several times off time banks like that, so Legacy going to need a fast one here. Stolen Picnics just decided to get up on stage and go Torbjorn.
I think he's...
You know him well, is he a bit of a performer?
It's a bit of a bell end, really.
Ah, well. It's not a very nice way to talk about your mate, is it?
Yeah, probably not.
Now the guy on the left is going to...
I'm sure he'll take it. He'll take it. He's fine.
Yeah,
don't worry about him.
So they are going for this Ike Widow, the Rani Pharah. I thought this might come out on the side of Ground Zero, but they've chosen to not go the Pharah. In fact, they are just going the Mei instead to try and break the whole combo of Legacy. This means that Ike might have a bit more free reign if Rani is able to put pressure onto Nami, but at the moment it looks like it'll be the other way around. Oh, Ike takes a shot to the knee.
Trying to meme. Trying to be a meme.
It was kind of like a meme, but I didn't really intend it to be like that.
What? Where is
Off
Mini
you go,
going?
Mini! He gets shot in the back of the head as he goes down too!
How's that happening? He must have got a concussion blast into the hold and it just booped him everywhere.
If you hit your shift while you're mid-air, you go straight up. The momentum carries you up,
really?
and Ike's got another kill.
Well, the more you know. I don't even know how that's... Oh, how is that even possible? Ground Zero. That's not a
Ike's
good
got
feeling.
another one! Ike's popping off!
That's exactly what you want. Put him on the Widowmaker for a reason. Lab's going to be able to get a kill there as well. And oh my god, Ike is just smashing everything. As we put the camera on him, he misses a few shots, as is always the case.
It is actually always the case with Ike. We miss it, the big kills, and we put it on him and a Mercy kills him or something. But that was a good point from Legacy. They managed to get the lucky pick off onto Mini, who had a mechanical misplay.
Trying to go to the moon.
He was trying to go to the moon.
Thought he was Winston.
He wasn't playing Winston, no. He was playing...
Like, if I press shift, I'll go further.
He did, well, yeah, if you get halted, or if you get halted in the air and you press the shift as you're going upwards, the momentum carries on, so you go straight up in the air essentially.
Did not know that.
It's a strange little mechanic, and that's why you see the flying cows or horses or whatever you want to call them. It's very scary when you are doing that as a result.
Well, on to the point for Legacy, they've decided not to continue with their previous composition. So they have essentially reset all of their ultimates. Transcendence is there for Lab, and he's actually going to force it out. Let's see if Legacy is going to be able to find any advantages off of the basically mortality that they had in that instance.
Under his hacks, he's going down very low, but the Zarya was able to bail him out. This is going to be a long fight, it seems, as Juboy is really zoning in on Lab. He needs some help. He's not going to get it, is he?
Oh, no, not again. What am I watching? It's a Clown Fiesta smash.
It is. Get your shoes out, get your horn, get your nose. It's a Clown Fiesta on both teams. 5:55 in the time bank for Legacy. We could be here all night, Jordan.
Yeah. Well, look, if anyone owns Clown shoes in this casting duo, I know who it's going to be.
It's going to be you, because you've got the big wardrobe, mate.
Definitely not me, mate. You're the one that spends money on shoes.
Yeah, but I only have 3 suitcases worth of stuff here. Maybe in Perth I've got Clown shoes, but not here.
All of your shoes are Clown shoes, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, you got a fair point there, actually. They were pretty clowny. Still, this map, it's got a lot of life left in it. Can the small mistakes from both teams be ironed out?
Small?
Well, okay, they're massive mistakes, so I didn't want to rag on them too much. Mini flying to the moon was a bit of a yikes too. And then
I like that one. That one was
the
cool.
stolen res was a bit...
But was that stolen or was that Rani? You know?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to go back and see if the wall was broken or not. But surely you don't take that wall down. Surely you put that there for that purpose. Anyway.
I'm not sure. Either way. 4 minutes 32 for Ground Zero. They actually end up capping out slower than Legacy. That's crazy. So, Ground Zero on the attack again.
Mini with the Widow once more. Looking for the pick-off. He's not going to get it, mate. Get off it. Put it to rest. This must have worked in a scrim one time, because there's no other reason you do it every single time.
I don't know. Like, wasting 5 seconds, what's the big deal, really?
It's not a massive deal.
If you get a pick, you win the plane, I suppose.
True. True.
Argument is, though, that there would be a Mercy on the other side, generally speaking, so probably see a res anyway.
They have chosen. The Maywall actually from Rani has cut them in half here, and Lab's able to get the first kill of the fight. This is big ult charge going across the Legacy. It's essentially for free. They're not getting taken down at all.
Well, it's a much better looking start to this point for Legacy, isn't it? Let's see what they can actually mount on the defense when they don't try to go flying to the moon with their main tank. As you say, the ult charge important as well. Not quite there yet for really anyone. Stolen's getting quite close to Valkyrie.
That's fantastic adaptation though from Legacy there. They noticed that that's how they rotated the first time, so Rani stands on an off angle, just a little bit further away or a little different angle so he can get that wall to stop the rotation. And as soon as that happens, they're ready to pound damage in because they're between a rock and a hard place, Ground Zero. You can't leave and you can't go any further forward. Stolen will have the first ult of the fight. Not a massively impactful one, but the damage boost can be good for breaking that Orisa shield or that Mei wall if it's in a pesky situation. Which it's not. It's actually placed at the back, and Ike with the damage boosted Storm Arrows will take out Nami and Dalsu apparently.
We like Ike.
We like Ike. We like Ike today.
Legacy does.
92% on this Dragon. He's been very powerful in this competition. He wants to throw it.
No, he hasn't. He's going to get out okay. Hulk comes through, doesn't actually suck anyone in. We are waiting for that Dragon Strike, aren't we?
But I'm also concerned that Legacy might over-invest in ults here. It can happen a lot in these bunker compositions. They need to be disciplined with their ult usage.
Needs too much. Multi-claws coming up in just a second as well, but really doing a good job of stalling Ground Zero, even from moving at all. Look at the damage that's being put across. Here comes the Dragon Strike. That is going to be a big one. Gus is standing right in it. The Hulk comes through as well. And it's Juboy that inevitably gets caught and finished off. So much damage comes off of the Dragon Strike. Now multiple core as well. There's just 3 ultimates in the fight here for Legacy. Oh, Blizzard went through as well, and it's exactly what you talked about. It's an overcommitment from Legacy there. They didn't need the Blizzard. Even the Molten Core I was kind of questioning at that point. But then the Blizzard comes in, you're definitely thinking that's an overcommitment.
No, the Molten Core can be used to cut the rotations down. It's the same as the Blizzard. It's area denial, essentially. It can be very difficult to get out of that Molten Core, and when you are in it, you're taking so much damage. Whereas the Blizzard, it kind of has the same effect, so doubling up those ultimates can be pretty devastating for you. Now Nami has the Dragon Strike his own, Mini with his Supercharger. This could be a damage boosted Dragon going the way of Legacy Esports that they don't really want to greet with open arms.
I mean, I guess you can forgive Legacy for that because Dragon Strike charges so quickly. So does Valkyrie in this composition. So they do still kind of have them coming up in this fight. Ground Zero are starting to come online as well. Dalsu is the only one that's kind of lacking at this point.
Being stuck in this room is pretty rough for the side of Ground Zero though. How are they going to get out? The Maywall cutting them in half, and now the Baptiste field goes down, but it goes down straight away.
This will be another decent Dragon Strike coming through. In fact, it's a very good one. There's nowhere for Ground Zero to go.
They're playing behind this van with the Supercharger. Juboy is able to poke around, and now he's getting hooked. He goes down as well. The Dragon Strike comes out, but it's not quite anything from Nami.
And Noosh just able to heal through it and take a breather. I think he was getting pocketed there by Stolen at the time too. This is looking very good for Legacy. Can they complete the 4-minute and 32 hold on point A?
Well, this has essentially been a full hold already. If they did this the first time, we wouldn't even go to a second round.
Good, but they've been pushed off the high ground to an extent now, so it's going to be a little more difficult for them. But they have kind of weathered the storm with all the ultimates from Ground Zero coming out in the last fight, and now Molten Core's going to come up. Lab, if he gets hooked though, that's big for Ground Zero. Gus gets another one almost. It's Mini that finishes off Noosh, and oh, it's all gone wrong for Legacy at the 11th hour. They really had a good opportunity. The res comes out onto Noosh. He doesn't have his ultimate. I think Lab might have been the better option, but regardless, the point is going to go the way of Ground Zero, and Legacy will be kicking themselves. That was really holdable. Still, it's not going to give much of a boost to Ground Zero. Only the 30 seconds to get on the point, and to get through this, Blizzard, Molten Core, I don't know.
Typical Legacy fashion, they give it up at the end though. They do have the Dalsu Transcendence, which can kind of counteract the damage that comes out from those ultimates, but if someone gets frozen and I can put a headshot in them, it's probably a bit too much damage. They both have good ultimates coming up. This Maywall might cut them in half and be decisive on who wins this round. He pops it early. They can break that though. They shouldn't be too frustrated by it.
Frustrated for Blizzard's going to come out here as well as Dragon Strike. What an Immortality Field! Look at that! Gunther's Immortality Field finally falls, and that's going to be the end of Ground Zero. It was fun while it lasted. It was a great Immortality Field, I gotta say that, but
yeah, it was fantastic, but it doesn't last long enough, and it wasn't protected well enough to get everything out. Dalsu's Transcendence was on top of it as well, so you weren't really getting the most value.
Yeah.
Ground Zero made a dog's breakfast of that and made a real mess of it, but they eventually get a win condition, which is holding first completely. Otherwise, we'll see a draw.
Look, is a dog's breakfast necessarily a bad thing? Because
I mean, what my dog ate for breakfast.
I'm sure dogs like dogs' breakfasts.
Yeah, well, dogs do, but we're not dogs, Jordan. And neither are these boys. Well, yeah, no, none of them are. No dogs here.
Tell you what, you almost were a bit of a dog just then. Dog on the boys?
I would never.
No.
I know a man who would.
I would. I know a man too. His name starts with a C and ends with Inderella.
Can't believe it.
For 12 hours. Can you believe that?
12 hours, yeah. Ground Zero now. They have swapped over to Nami Widow. It's in a bunker composition. Legacy on the Pharah. They showed that earlier. So they're still sticking to their guns. They're still sticking to what works. Mini just needs to not fly to the moon. And Ike needs to not kill everybody. And that's why Ground Zero can win here.
Sounds so easy when you put
Simple
it
as that.
Nami's on Widow though, so there is going to be a bit of a challenge for Ike. And Rani.
Both of these Widow players are young prodigies. They're both under 18. They're both very sharp. Reminds me of when I was under 18. Very sharp.
Maybe they can win $3 million one day.
You know what? They probably could.
Maybe.
Oh, there's a sleep onto Rani's Pharah already. Dalsu.
Having a nap.
It won't lead to anything as he was probably on the right side of the roof and just slipped back down, but it still looks cool. Oh, Mini's getting headshot again! Ike picks off Mini. It's rinse repeat.
It's too easy for Legacy. They just walk on through point A. It's not done yet, but certainly on their way. Gunther being one to go down as well means that obviously no res.
They are swapping to the speed comp, so they do want to contest here. They can give up a tick or two. Ike knows where this Widow is. That's good communication. Rani spotted that Widow and called it out.
There's just nothing to be done for Ground Zero. They can't get the players on the point. I mean, they're going to come across. They're going to try. Mini and Gus.
That's going very low.
So where's the damage going to come from here for Ground Zero? It's just not available. Yeah, maybe Lab dies, but Legacy are going to be happy with this situation. That's too easy.
Certainly is. Juboy swaps over onto the Genji. Will he stay on it though? This is pretty hard to play into. You know that Legacy are going to swap to that 3-3 composition. They did it last time, so I don't think Duboy was staying on the Genji for very long. Maybe next week. Maybe next week.
Well, smart moves from Legacy. Not over-investing in their composition.
Yeah, they have a very long time to build these big teamfight ultimates up, and all they need to do is pull off one combo in 5 minutes, and they can win this map pretty easily.
And only the one tick. We've seen some C9s already on this point. Not going to happen this time. Ground Zero do get the contest on, but is it going to be a good one? It's a 1-for-1. Good for down. Mini looking healthy though. That's the saving grace right now for Ground Zero. Slowly but surely, we see players getting low though for Ground Zero, but Mini is the saving grace. 2 with the charge. Rani and Ike. He continues to put good damage in onto Legacy. So it will be pushed back. Lab's going to give up his life. Stolen. Same.
Next fight could look good for Ground Zero though. They managed to build the Earth Shatter up with Mini receiving the Nano Boost, and Nami was pesky enough to build up a full EMP. So, ball is in their court. Legacy, they invested the Transcendence, but nothing else. They need to bank up a lot of ults here. Especially that rally is going to be a key ultimate, I believe.
Even now, I'm pretty sure Ground Zero can't make 3rd place. Because this is going to be a draw.
This is going to be a draw, so they
need
that map
4-0.
differential. Yep.
If they get a 3-0... Actually, they can. If they get a 3-0, they can get a 3-0.
Would Order need to lose very heavily though, would they?
No, Order would be 2nd place then, and Warriors would be 4th.
I see.
So...
Oh god, the EMP Shadow, I can see it coming.
Still not over just yet for Ground Zero. Certainly not if they win this map. The EMP, it's a few of the Legacy players. The Bio need a couple more. And a good follow-up from Ground Zero. They're executing quite a nice defense so far. But the issue for me is that they've been executing a solid defense against dry fights.
They certainly have, and Nush swapping up to the Mei. He's done it before versus the Sombra so that's probably their answer to it, something they feel more confident on, but now Gus has the Graviton Surge. No Transcendence from Lab. He's not been able to find any angles in this fight to build that Transcendence. It's quite a fast building ultimate if you're able to free shoot or if you're able to free heal for the majority of the fight, but the fights are going on so quickly that the heal over time effect with the Harmony Orb just isn't working out, and the damage just isn't coming through either.
I mean, he's going to get it up sooner or later. Still 2 minutes 55. So plenty of time. Graviton Surge for Gus. Probably be enough again to win the fight for Ground Zero, especially with the Earth Shadow not really hitting much for Legacy. And he's swinging away.
But this really is putting all your eggs in one basket for Legacy. They're going to have one good fight, one excellent fight. But if Ground Zero can manage to negate that fight with maybe some good positioning or maybe an EMP on those heroes with the ultimates, then they could just end up forfeiting this map essentially, giving that map win, or the map draw over to the side of Ground Zero. Nami is going to be frantically trying to build this last 20% of this EMP so they can just use that ultimate cycle of EMP and Earth Shadow to finish this one off.
Alright, still 2 minutes. That's a lot of time for Legacy to play with. I'm not getting too concerned just yet. Once that drops below a minute, that's where you start to worry.
I just don't trust Legacy in the clutch after all this time now.
No, I can't disagree with you at all. Have been pretty poor in the high pressure situations. That is exactly where we are now. Andre's on the point.
Playing around the EMP well here. They're just trying to bait Fundre out. Fundre good enough to turn his shield to negate the hack, but now this EMP is coming through. Will we see some aggression from Ground Zero?
Now they've started to push on in, waiting to see what Nami's going to do. It's a surge through, but the EMP did so many. Blizzard the combo with Grav. And there's no kills coming out from Legacy at all. They just don't have the damage. The EMP was enough. It pushed them back so hard. And Stolen, he's dove on top of Mini. Not going to be able to get that kill solo. Not enough damage out from the Lucio. And that was the one big fight I think that Legacy was looking to win. For Grav and Blizzard.
Gus had a personal shield available during midway point of that Blizzard freeze, so he doesn't end up getting frozen and is able to deal out so much damage with the Nano Boost. Mini and Duboy were at an angle where you could really access them too well inside of Legacy, so Blizzard, Grav, turns out you need to get kills off those if you want to win games. They didn't this time. Gonta didn't even have to drop the beat there. Rani swapped over to the Doomfist, but there's really not much to go with here. He doesn't have the Sombra to help him out either.
Doomfist is going to have to do, because it's the last possible fight that Legacy are going to get, the last good one that they're going to get. The punches are all over the place, but they're just not connecting with what they need to. Dalsu goes low, but covered off well by Gus. It was a nice bio-nade from Lab. But it doesn't matter. Ground Zero far too healthy, and now we're staring down the barrel of a draw. Legacy have let this one slip something chronic.
Yeah, I believe in these fights, the EMP, if Legacy had their own Sombra, it's such an easy fight win, executable ult. They chose to go to the Mei, now they've swapped over to the Doomfist.
And now it's too late.
And now all the ultimates on ground zero, those 3 tick marks are very dangerous. The EMP Shatter combo we've seen time and time again work wonders, and it's going to be hard to get anything to Rani here, he's already gone down.
It's going to have to be a miracle. Stolen is solo shattered, but he's out of the fight, and that's what ground zero wants. He's going to make the rest all the more easy to clean up. Legacy have not even mounted a final offense here. You see Blizzard go down on the point, but what is it going to do when there is no Legacy players to use it? That's a draw.
Well, there is good news for Legacy. It means we can't go to map 5.
Yeah.
But now they need to start working the hybrid and the escort maps into the wins. And they've been quite solid on those escort maps this season, so there's still hope for them left.
Well, remember, we need the win from
Definitely need the
Legacy.
Yes.
So they need to win these last 2 maps, which is not so easy to do.
So this hybrid map from Numbani is going to be really difficult. They haven't...
I mean, technically we can draw on Numbani. So
Yep, we can.
We
could actually
still
go to that
map
control
5,
map, that's true.
Which it would be a very, very long series if we get there with 2 draws in it.
Certainly would. You got plans tonight?
I do not have any plans, no.
Alright, I'm down to go down until, what, 12 o'clock? 1 o'clock in the morning?
Alright, that might be a bit late. I wouldn't mind going to bed. But, gee, yeah, these last 2 maps, you know, you look at these as Legacy and you think, yeah, we could probably be up 2-0 at this point.
Certainly
and yet
could.
they're not. They're down 1-0.
Yeah, it's really disappointing for Legacy. Just fall in that clutch, these clutch moments, as you can see, these getting off the point. Here he goes into the moon. Off you go, mate. Mini falling both times on the offense straight away. The second time his shield faded and he just wasn't in a position to hide behind anything. That's something that Ground Zero will try and look at, I believe. Especially going into playoffs, you can't have those mistakes creeping in.
Ultimate Ball, such a scary ultimate.
It does so much damage. It's ridiculous.
Well, it looked so good for Legacy. Where did they really go wrong in that final push onto point B? Was it just the team composition you felt like should have been Sombra instead of Mei?
No, I mean, they could have executed way better. Obviously, they had one fight where they threw the Mei ult in, they threw the Graviton Surge, but they weren't in range to deal any damage to those players.
It was
really
owned by
just
the
a range
EMP.
damage. Yeah, exactly. So they're not... Well, maybe they did track the ultimates and thought they could deal with it, but at the same time, those 2 ultimates together, in theory, are great, but they're only good if you can catch the right heroes. When they caught the Reinhardt, the Brigitte, and the Zarya had personal shields, so she could dispel the Mei ult essentially and was taking no damage. The Reinhardt and the Brigitte were in position such a way that the statue was blocking off line of sight for some players. You need to get close enough to deal damage to the Graviton Surge before you use it.
Yeah, that's not the way that Legacy would have envisioned their 6 minutes offense going, particularly after capping out point A so quickly.
No.
It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's still salvageable here for Legacy. Their hopes of getting into playoffs are still alive. They need to get these couple of maps on the board. They need to get at least one of these maps on the board so that we potentially could go through to map 5 if Numbani maybe is a draw. Look, there is always the saving grace for Legacy of Escort, right? If they're 1-0 down, when we get to Escort, you can still back them to make something happen.
But they have been poor in those crunch situations, and the next map is definitely the crunch situation. It's the map they need to get a draw or a win. Anything else and the series is over and their hopes of getting into playoffs is over too.
Alright, well, that next map is going to be coming up after the break. We're going to head to a quick one. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.